Welcome, my tarot friends. Today I am doing a tag that I created myself. It is called Let's Be Tarot Friends. And I came up with this tag because basically, that will sound very sad, but I don't have any tarot friends or, friends that I could chat about tarot. I do have friends, obviously, but they're not very interested. I mean, they are interested in it, but it's very different when you talk to someone who has some clue about what you're talking about and someone who is just slightly interested in. I am quite lucky because my partner is very interested in tarot, actually, so that is great. And I am very grateful that, he is not just supportive, but actually interested in it. But, I don't have any friends that would be doing it on a level that I am at, or maybe on a higher level that I am at, which would be amazing. So, I came up with this tag because I feel I'm not the only person on Tarotube that feels this way. I know that a lot of Tarotubers made friends via, this platform. And I just find this tag a very interesting way to connect or learn more about each other and our thoughts and feelings about tarot and the practice and what we like, etc. Before we start though, I have a confession to make. I don't know if you watched my video about my tarot goals for 2024, and one of the goals was to do a no-buy for this year. Now, I have done a no-buy for almost 2 months before I failed, if I can say I failed. But this no-buy actually, even though it was not the whole year, which, it was much, much less. But I don't know if I shared it before, but in the last, between May last year and December last year, I bought over 60 decks. That is a lot. That is it's too much, really. This no-buy month and a half really helped me to understand myself and my reasons for why I buy tarot decks, and it helped me, I kind of got in the control of not just clicking on a button because I think the tarot deck is cute or whatever, or beautiful. I actually sat down and put it on the list, and I created a list that was like very long, let's say 30-40 decks, right? In the first 2 weeks of no buy, I literally created such a long list. And then as the time was passing by, I was returning to those choices, rethought them, and realized that most of those decks I don't even want or need at all, because they already fit. Like, I have already similar decks that would fit into that category in my tarot family. So I learned the lesson that I actually wanted to learn, even though it was not the whole year. The last list that I created was, I think, altogether 10 decks. So there's 10 decks that I want to get this year, and that's it. And I remember putting some more on it and then literally removing them the next day. I was like, no, I really this is the only decks that I want. So, and I already got a few decks from that list, and I will get a few more for my birthday, I decided. And I will share the decks that I got with you today as well, whilst we talk about this. I don't know why this is boring, so let's just start with that. So whilst I go through the questions, I will be sharing the new decks that I got, and also decks that go with the questions, just why I got certain decks. So I'm gonna tell you which decks I got. I got the Everyday Enchantment Tarot, I got the Tarot of the Great Outdoors, I got the Lovely Om Tarot, and I got this one for free. I'm not going to go into the story why it was for free, but it was for free in the end. So I got the New Era Elements Tarot as well. And I also got Soul Cards, 1 and 2, both of them. This is something I wanted. All these decks I wanted for a very long time. It was not like I came up with them in this month and I wanted them. No, they have been on my list for like months. And when I was removing so many decks, these ones stay on the list, and they stayed for a reason. None of these decks are similar to any other decks that I have, and they just triggered something in me. Like, I felt instant connection with them just watching the flip through videos and walkthrough videos. And I watched many before I purchased them as well. It was not like I watched one and was like, yeah, this is it. No, I watched many and many times and for months. So yes, some people might see this as failure, but I don't. I see it as growth. I feel I experienced a big 3 of Swords moment here, because it was not easy for that month and a half at all, but I grew from it. I grew as a person. I grew as a tarot enthusiast and tarot, I don't want to call myself tarot collector, but you know, tarot person, whatever. So yeah, I experienced the proper 3 of Swords moment here, and I'm very proud of it, like, because I understand myself better. But enough of this. This is not why we're here. We're here because of the tag. Let's be tarot friends. So let's go to the first question, and some of the questions might appear already in some other tags, but these are questions that I am interested in, so I just put them on the list anyway. Whilst we do that, I'm just gonna go through a few of my tarot decks, and let's start with my new ones, and that is, so this is the Tarot of the Great Outdoors. The first question is, what type of art are you looking for in a deck and why? So this is a really good example, that's why I started with this deck. For me, I look at the art that is, I like it when it's watercolor, or if it's digitally made, that it looks like, you know, watercolory, or like it's painted. Let's say if it's not watercolory, that it's painted. I love it when there is nature in tarot deck. I love it when, I don't know, it's just artsy. I like decks that are artsy. I'm not big on minimalistic decks. I don't enjoy them. I like decks that have a lot to look at, decks that every card you can create a story just looking at the card, that trigger emotions in me. So, you know, it's all to do with an art, isn't it? That's why maybe I'm not that interested in Marseille type of decks. Although you could make bib decks emotive. This deck is just so freaking beautiful, and it feels like, you know, it's everyday. I come from a country where 75% of the country is nature and it's green, and this deck, I know it's based in America or on American national parks, but for me, I feel like I'm at home, you know? Although this definitely doesn't look like my home, but it makes me feel connected to nature. And that is something that, yeah, it's really important to me. Another deck that I could show here as art is my lovely Herb Crafters. I am doing a series on this deck right now, so feel free to check it out. I love art that is just very arty and detailed and colorful. I love color, strong colors. See this? So beautiful. The art that invites you to step into it. An art that evokes emotions in me. And yeah, I like bright colors, I'm not gonna lie. But that's gonna now contradict what I'm gonna show you next, the next deck that I'm gonna show you here. Because that deck does not have colors, but just the way it's drawn is so beautiful. But be alarmed that some of the pictures might trigger some people, because it shows some scenes from everyday life that can be triggering, let's say. So this deck, although it's black and white, the way that the artist used pencil and shading, it's like there was color, if that makes sense. It still evokes emotions. There's so much details. There's so much detail. I feel, yeah, like the reflection in the water, the fire, the explosions, the clouds, you know, it's so beautiful. It's absolutely incredible. I love this deck so much on so many levels. And let's just go to the next question, because I think I'm using too much time here. What do you search for in a deck? What do I search for is, firstly, that the art is beautiful, that it attracts me. If the art is not pleasing to my eye personally, I know I'm not going to work with the deck. It's very simple. And that the example for a deck that the art is not my favorite and I really don't work with it because of that, and also because the cardstock is really rubbish, is the Modern Witch Tarot, for example. The art is too plain, too simple, too 2D for me. I like depth in the pictures. And another thing that I'm searching for in tarot deck is 100%. So to me, so important. I think it should be important to everyone, really. And it's the diversity. Diversity in age, diversity in cultures or where people come from. diversity in body shapes, diversity in sexual orientation or gender identity. So yeah, all type of diversity there is, I like to see them in my decks. And honestly, I don't want to say all of my decks, but most of my decks have at least a little bit of diversity in them. I wish that more tarot creators would be more inclusive of everything that I was talking about before. I feel there is not enough of that spoken on Tarotube. I think, does every deck have to be inclusive in all ways? It would be great if it was, in my opinion. I understand if some people decide not to do that, because, I don't know. The only time that I really understand that is if a deck is created like in a way that it represents a specific time in a specific area, or if it's about, let's say, like Druidcraft, right, is, you know, in, I don't know what time, but there are Druids on it from the UK, right? Or if the deck is specifically about one person, or if it's about a show or whatever, then obviously it's going to be represented what is in that show. But otherwise, I don't know, I can't find a reason why you wouldn't include people of different races, of different cultures, of different... Also, side note, I don't like using the word race, because we are one race, and yeah, different cultures, let's say, and of different genders and gender identities and different abilities and different shapes and sizes of people and different skin tones, you know. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't do that if you create a people deck. I just don't. So anyway, that's one of the things that is really important to me in a deck. Let's go to the next question, which is, what deck are you the most intrigued by right now and why? Obviously, my Herb Crafted is one answer, because I'm doing a deep dive into it and it's absolutely incredible on so many levels. But I am truly intrigued by my new deck, and that is Late Poppy's Everyday Enchantment Tarot. I am intrigued by it because every box that I talked about before, it ticks. Every single box. It represents people, the world, like it is. Specifically, it represents the UK, right? But you have everything that I was talking about before in this deck. And not only that, like the expressions of the people's faces speak so much. Like, look at this card, right? Everything is seen on the face. And not only that, she included animals in the deck as well, and the animals have specific meanings. And not only animals, she included, look at that, here you can't really see them if you don't look closely, but here you have the beings, the otherworldly beings. We could call them fae, or any other dimension beings. In every single card you will find 1 or 2 or 3 of them, and it's like she covered the world on all bases. The human world, the animal world, and the spiritual world came together in this deck, and it's just so beautiful. Mine is trimmed. I trimmed it because it had these huge borders around. In one of her videos on YouTube, she talks about that she had to put those borders there because otherwise her art would be cut off if it was borderless. Look at this world card. How beautiful. So beautiful. Man. Yeah, and this deck is just so easy to read, and it's just very accurate. And see, she included everyone in this deck. It's so beautiful. And I love the guidebook as well. It's not just the deck. I mean, even if the deck came without guidebook, I would still be like, whoa, it's amazing. But the guidebook itself is so good. Like, it tells you, it's like a person from the card speaks to you directly. They tell you their story, and then she goes into the meaning as well, and she talks about why she put certain things on the picture. So it's just so good. Like, wow. And this deck has been on my list for a very long time. I think from the very beginning. And then because I got... Which deck did I get? I think I got the Lightseers, and then I somehow put this one away, thinking that that deck is somehow as inclusive, which is... It's somehow inclusive, somewhat inclusive, but not even close to this. This deck is just so beautiful. And I feel the people are not like models in this deck. They are everyday people that you will see in the world. And yeah, it's just so amazing. It became top 5. I was thinking the other days which decks I would put in my top 5, and this one is definitely in that top 5 from all the reasons that I just said. So this is the answer, very long answer to the question that I just said. Is there a card in a deck that you always check out first, and why? I do, actually, I do. And that is 3 of Swords. Why? Let me find 3 of Swords in this deck. Why? Is because so many people just portray 3 of Swords with a heart with 3 swords in it, and I just find that it's not very imaginative. I feel it's very, I don't know, lazy? Let's call it lazy. I feel like a lot of decks have like such great ways to represent other cards, but then you come to 3 of Swords and it's that, boom, again. That's one of the cards I'm going to show in another deck that I was like, oh man, there we go. 3 of Swords, right? Do we have any heart that is pierced with 3 swords? No. What do we see on this card? We see growth. And 3 of Swords is all about growth. Taking that experience that it could be painful, or it could be just very uncomfortable or annoying or not pleasant, and learn from it and grow from it. You know, and this is a card that beautifully portrays that. Now let me show you a deck that I was a bit annoyed when I saw 3 of Swords, because it's such a innovative deck. What is the word? Yeah, it just this is the lovely Om Tarot, and this deck is absolutely gorgeous. It's spiritual. That's another thing, sorry, that I forgot to mention in the previous question, where I look for in a deck. I like decks that are spiritual. I do like down-to-earth decks too, but I like decks that are spiritual, that have components of spirituality in. I mean, obviously it's tarot deck, so it will have it anyway, but that it's obviously there, let's say. And this deck is very spiritual and it's based on Thoth and Rider-Waite-Smith, which I love. But as you see, the cards are obviously very beautiful. But look at the Wheel of Fortune, for example, right? They're different. Or 10 of Wands. They're very different. Some of them are similar to Rider-Waite-Smith, right? Or Thoth. But most of them are very different. But then when I came to 3 of Swords, wherever that is gonna be, let me just find it. I was very disappointed. I was like, oh, okay. I really expected something more deep or interesting in it. See? Pierced heart again. You do have a spider here, and she does explain what it means and the shadows and everything, which is great, but again we have the pierced heart, and I feel it could be done so much better than that. Let me see if I can think of a deck that has this really well done. Yeah, this one, the Enchanted Forest Tarot, or Forest of Enchantment Tarot. I never know what to say. Oh, sorry, what is the title? Let's find 3 of Swords here, because I know it's not pierced heart. There. Do we see any pierced heart? No, we don't. It's a story. It tells a story. And I love decks that do that take the, traditional meaning, but they put it in a picture that is not traditional. I really like that. So that's one of the cards that I always go and check out. If there is a card you really don't like in a deck, would you not buy it? Or if you had it already, would you pass it on? The answer to this is most likely I wouldn't get it. There is one card in the Intuitive Tarot. I think it's called Intuitive Tarot. There is one card in a deck that I don't like. And I'm not going to go into details which one it is. But it creates discomfort in me. If it's a card that I just don't like art that much, I would still get it. But if it goes against what I morally believe in, I will not get it, yes. Or I would pass it on if I find out something about, if I later, if I buy a deck without seeing that card and then I buy it and I see it in the deck, I would pass it on, yeah. Sorry, I'm just going through this deck because it's absolutely beautiful as well. Next question. What is your favorite or least favorite card in a deck and why? So My favorite card in a deck, if I look at minor arcana, would be Queen of Pentacles, because I just feel very connected to that card, even though it's not my card if I calculate it numerologically. But I don't know, I just see myself in the Queen of Pentacles. You know, that grounded person, that caring person, who likes to share abundance with others and cares for others and is in nature. You know, it's very connected to nature. She's part of nature in many decks as well. So that's why that card just is close to my heart. And then a card that I least like. I know a lot of people don't like the Hierophant, and depends how it's depicted for me. But generally, I think in Major Arcana, the card that I'm least excited about, let's say, would be Wheel of Fortune. Not because I don't like the card itself and the meaning, but the way that Wheel of Fortune is usually portrayed in tarot as well. So Three of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune are the two cards that usually disappoint me in a deck, let's say. And that's why I would look at them as least favorite, not because of the meaning, because I think the meaning of all the cards are absolutely incredible and have a place in tarot and are important as any other card. But I feel just the way that authors usually decide to portray that card, or these two cards, a lot of the time disappoints me, so that's why I would say these two, so the Three of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune. The next question is more personal. What do people close to you feel about tarot and about you doing tarot? So, like I said before, my partner is very supportive and very interested in tarot, and, you know, he is excited when I do readings for him and when I interpret the cards for him. And I also am very lucky, like my family is very supportive, actually. I suppose we are quite a spiritual family. They're very supportive, and I have a few family members that they won't believe in it, which is fine, you don't have to. It's your choice, but no one is like, you know, making fun of me or think it's embarrassing or any negative really thing. So I'm quite lucky in that aspect. My friends are all very excited, actually. I don't have one friend that would be like, oh no, like every friend that I have was like, yeah, please do me a reading, you know. So I'm really happy about that. I have one friend that she is interested in tarot, like she finds it interesting, but she's not necessarily, she doesn't necessarily want to have her reading done. She's afraid a little bit about what it would say, or afraid might be a wrong word, just maybe not believing in it, I suppose. Yeah, so let's go to the next deck, which I absolutely adore as well. This is the Unfolding Path Tarot. It doesn't have a bag yet, it will have it in the future. This deck, just like the Everyday Enchantment Tarot, ticks the boxes of diversity, and I love it for that. Let's go to the next question. How do you feel about astrology, planets, Kabbalah, numerology, and other esoteric teachings intertwined into tarot? Do they matter to you? And I heard a lot of YouTubers talking about how they don't care about astrology, etc. And personally, I do care about it a lot. Actually, I started studying astrology specifically when I was really small, like when I was, I think, 8. I started reading books about it, and I found it very intriguing and interesting. And people who know me know that I would ask people when is their birthday, so I know their signs. Like, I'm quite a nerd when it comes to astrology. At no means I am a professional astrologist or anything like that at all, but I do know quite a bit about it. So it matters to me a lot. Numerology matters to me a lot as well, as do all the other things. Like, I'm so intrigued and interested in everything. Like, I'm studying, or, you know, starting to study Kabbalah, because it's, you know, connected to Thoth deck and also the Tarot of the Spirit and other decks, of course. I mean, every tarot deck is connected to the Tree of Life, let's be honest. But yeah, so I am very, very interested in that. And like, conversations that I have about that are my favorite type of conversations, because I feel, especially if I talk to people who know about this and who have more knowledge about this than me. And I love that, because I love learning new things every day. And this is one thing about tarot that excites me the most, honestly, is everything that is woven into it. All different knowledges, palmistry, numerology, psychology, astrology, astronomy, everything, you know, Rider-Waite-Smith, Thoth or Marseille, and why? To me, like I mentioned before, I do not read Marseille yet. I'm not interested in it because it has pip cards, and the pip cards that don't really say much in the decks. Like, you know, Thoth has so much more woven into every pip card. It's not really pip, but you know what I mean. I learned Rider-Waite-Smith system first, but I am now learning Thoth's, and I'm very interested in it. And you should definitely check out 2 channels that I watch about Thoth. Three, sorry. Joe Monteleone, Atypical Tarot, and Beata Tarot Tutorials. She is, wow, she's so good, honestly. I learned so much. She goes into so many details about each card. She's done all the minors. She's doing the majors now at the moment, but the minors that she done, oh my god. I'm gonna make notes from her videos. That's how good they are. What are your thoughts on cardstock? And that's funny. Okay, so basically, in the past, I was always saying I like shuffling my cards overhand because I don't want to get destroyed, which is still kind of true. But I recently being this week, learned how to riffle shuffle or practice riffle shuffling much more, because I got this deck, right? Because I got the Tarot of Great Outdoors. People who have it know that the cardstock is paper thin, basically. And because of that, it's very easy to riffle shuffle. And I was like, okay, let me just try, because it looks so much fun. Every time that other people do it on the tarot, I'm like, oh, it looks so nice, and I just wish I could do it like they do. And I learned on it how to do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Like, I kind of knew how to do it before, but with not many decks. This one is really easy because it's so thin. So I am now starting to enjoy riffle shuffling so much that I went through all my decks and tried to riffle shuffle them, and realized that so many of the decks that I was struggling overhand shuffle before are now much easier to riffle shuffle, which is very interesting. So let me just go to the deck that is that. So it is my, again, top 5 deck, Throw Up the She. This deck, for me, it's a little bit sticky, right? It's a little bit sticky, so it's kind of hard to overhand shuffle it. That was one thing about this deck that I really didn't like, was overhand shuffling it, because it's quite big cardstock. You know, it's not the nicest thing to do. And then I was like, let me just try to riffle shuffle this. Let me just try. And I did. And what happened was this. And I was like, oh my god, this is so much fun. So what was I talking about? Yeah, I was actually talking about cardstock, right? So the cardstock to me is very important, because I feel if I can't shuffle the cards, no matter what type of, even if I can't shuffle them this way or riffle shuffle them properly, I don't like this. And I found out my favorite cardstock in my tarot family, and that is, oh, interesting, I was talking about the Hierophant before. And that is Tarot of Pagan Cats. Oh my gosh. Not only the size of the cards is perfect, they're like smaller, I have smaller hands, and they beautifully shuffle this way because they're quite heavy cards. I watched Lisa Pape's video on cardstock, and she talks about how GSM doesn't stand for thickness, but for how heavy the cards are. That's why they can feel so different even though they have the same number, right? So I found that very interesting. So these cards are beautiful to overhand shuffle, but also, watch this, they're like perfect. How beautiful is that? Wow. So yeah, cardstock is very important to me. I know some people don't care. I am generally not a fan. That was not the best. Not a fan of very thick cardstock. I realized that I prefer thinner cardstock to thick cardstock. But yeah. Oh, let me just go through this deck if I took it out already. That's why I actually like Llewellyn cardstock as well, because it's quite thin. So yeah, cardstock matters. It really does. Like, I also realized that the Witch's Wisdom Tarot, which I said before in the past that I hate the cardstock. I realized if you put it in smaller sections, like half, if you half it and then shuffle, riffle shuffle half and riffle shuffle half, is smooth like butter. Like, it's incredible. And I was like, whoa, that is not fair. It is not fair that I've been talking about it in such a bad way when really it's not that bad at all. So I'm gonna start using it more now because I can riffle shuffle it. Next question, bags or boxes? 100% bags. I really like bags. They bring some extra energy to the cards. They bring, like, it makes them different to the, let's say, because we obviously, if 10 people have this deck and they all have it in boxes, it's gonna have kind of the same energy. I feel that that bag brings extra energies to the deck and characteristics. That's why I really like to choose bags for my decks that go with the character of the deck. I really, really love this deck as well. It's so good. I love cats. So next question, how did you learn tarot or got into it? I talked about this in another video, so I'm going to give you a short version. My partner got me a tarot course after he asked me if I would ever have a reading done, and I already had a reading done by then, and I just said yes, I would love to have another reading done. This is how I started learning tarot properly. And the long answer is I was doing it before I knew I was doing it, but check out this video where I talk about it in more depth. Best news in tarot world you heard lately. Okay, are you ready for this? I'm so happy about this. So basically, I emailed the company that creates this deck, Tarot of Great Outdoors. And I emailed them saying that it's such a shame that the cardstock is so thin, because even though it is fun and really easy to shuffle, it is still very, very thin. Like, look at that, it's so thin, and you can see that it doesn't snap back properly. So I wrote to them that in tarot community, there's so many people who love the idea of this deck. They love the imagery, they love what it represents, they love the diversity, they love everything about it, but the cardstock. And there's so many people who said they would love to buy it, but they won't because of the cardstock. And I also told them that another YouTuber who is Shuffle Tarot, I'll write it here, I'm not sure. She said that she emailed them as well, and that they gave her an answer for why they created such a deck with such thin cardstock. And they said that because they wanted it to be light. Such a silly thing. Like, tarot deck is not really heavy to start with. Any tarot deck, is it? Like, why would you? Anyway, and I wrote to them, look, if you created a deck that has thicker cardstock, you could actually take it outside and it would last longer than something that can easily just tear or, you know, snap or break. And they replied to me saying, are you ready for this? That they are reprinting it on a thicker cardstock in 2 months or 3 months time. They will actually do it. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so excited. And they said if they want me for them to send me an email when they reprint it, and I said yes, please. So I will keep you updated on this. I'm so excited because I love this deck so much, and the only downside to this deck literally is the fact that the cardstock is a little bit too thin. It's paper thin. I think it's thinner than the Fairies Oracle. It's the thinner cardstock I've ever experienced myself. I still love it though, and I would still get it even though they didn't print it on thick cardstock, but they will. So great news, guys. Whoever is interested in this deck, you can soon get it on a thicker cardstock. That is literally the best news. How many decks are on your to get list? And like I said before, I already got, I think, 5, and I think, let me check. I still want to get Tabula Mundi or Tabula Mundi. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. But as you know, it is very, very expensive, especially with the shipping to the UK. I think it costs like £120, which is crazy. So yeah, maybe in the future, maybe for my birthday. And then one is Thoth Journey, which is also super expensive. So it might also be a gift. And then Tarot of Oneness, but I'm waiting for that one because I have a feeling that it's gonna go mass market, and right now it is still quite expensive for me because again, shipping costs more than the actual deck, which is ridiculous. So it costs like £65 to be shipped to the UK. The same goes for the Little Sister Tarot, which I would love to have, but again, why would I pay the same amount for shipping than the tarot deck when I could get 2 tarot decks for the same price? So I don't know about that one. And then same reason, the Science Tarot. I would love to have that, but again, the shipping is way too expensive. One deck that I got, and it's on the way, actually 2 decks that I still am waiting for, and it's gonna take a while because they're coming. One is coming from Canada, one is coming from Australia, is I got the Tarot of Atara because it's just so beautiful. And I've read that she only printed, I think, 1,000 copies and that's it. And I wanted to have it for a while. And really, with shipping and the book that you get and the bag that you get, it was, I think it was a bit over £70, but with the bag and with the box and with the book and with the linen cardstock, please. I love linen cardstock. So I was like, you know what? That's one tarot deck that I think it's actually worth it because it came with a bag, which it costs another £20 to get a nice bag. So generally, and she was selling for I think 12 or less, 11. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna treat myself to that one. And there's another one that I got actually today because it was for some reason on offer on Amazon. So usually it would cost 65 or 68 pounds to be shipped to the UK from Canada, and that is the Modern Love Tarot, but I got it on Amazon for 36, and I was like, whoa. I would not get it if it was 65 pounds, because again, it would be on Etsy. If you look, it's more for shipping than it is for the actual deck, and I think that's ridiculous. So, oh, there's one more. Sorry, the Gaian Tarot, which a person asked me for a birthday gift. What do I want? So I will ask them to get me that. If you could keep 3 decks only, which ones would you choose and why? I know this is basically an impossible answer, but I actually have it. So for me, it would be 100% the Herb Crafter's Tarot. That's my baby. That's my number 1, for sure. For sure. I'm doing the series on it, so if you're interested in diving deep into this deck, please check it out here. Then the next deck would definitely be the Thoth deck. So that is my Thoth deck. I cut the borders off on mine because, I don't know, I just prefer it without borders. So I would definitely keep Thoth deck because it is so full, so full of information. I was thinking between Thoth deck and Tarot of the Spirit because they're both very studious, let's say, decks. They're decks that are so full of information that you can study them for years and years and years and years. But I chose this one because, I don't know, it is just one of the original ones, you know? And it's absolutely gorgeous. I love the art so much. So yeah, so that would be 1. So number 2 actually. And then I was thinking about 2 decks. One was the Mary L Tarot, which I absolutely adore, and one was Tarot of the She. They're not similar at all, but how I feel about them is similar, we could say. But then at the end I decided to go with Tarot of the She. Why? I feel because I can read it a little bit more intuitively than the Mary L Tarot. And I don't know, I just feel maybe I am connected to the She realm, the realm of the fairies. I don't know, I just feel elementals around me. I always believed in them, you know. In the previous videos I talked about how in my early childhood, and not just early childhood, my whole childhood and my early adulthood even, I spent so much time outside in the forest, connecting to the animals, the plants, the spiritual beings. I had the ability to talk to animals. It's very interesting. Maybe that's a theme for another video. But anyways, and because of that, I feel a little bit more connected to this deck than the Mary L. So this one would be number 3 for sure. For sure. How does knowing Tarot influence your everyday? Well, it influences it in a way where I literally see connections with Tarot in everyday situations. I see them in people even, so, you know, certain people remind me of certain royal people in Tarot, like, you know, the kings, queens, pages, knights. I see it in everything, really, in literally everything, and I feel knowing Tarot and practicing Tarot every day really helps my spirituality to grow and develop in ways that I never thought is going to, really. This is Tarot of the Owls, which I absolutely adore. It's so beautiful. The art style, the colors, the energy, the expressions. Who would think that owls can have such amazing expressions, right? Look at that Queen of Wands. Anyway, sorry, what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. So yeah, I see tarot in everything and everyone and in every situation, and it's just amazing. It influences my life a hell a lot. If you could turn back the time, would you learn tarot in any other way? Now the answer to this is quite simple. I actually like the way how I learned it, because I started doing tarot before I knew what tarot was. That means that I was using tarot very subconsciously, really, because I was using it, you know, I was using spreads, I was reading the cards, I was looking at the imagery, I would be reading descriptions in the book, because I started doing tarot on the Osho Zen without realizing it was tarot deck and what tarot was. And then later, years later, I did the Rider-Waite-Smith course that my partner got for me for my birthday. And I think it was a really good way to start doing it. Even though it was packed of information, what I did was I made my own notes. And it's funny, I returned to the notes now and I understand those notes so much better than I did it to start with, you know. It's very interesting. So yeah, the only thing that I would change is maybe that I would start with the whole thing way earlier than when did I start? In my late 20s, and I am in my 30s now, so it would be great if I learned tarot like in my teens, really. What are your thoughts on Three of Swords? So, because I feel Three of Swords is very controversial card, or could be very controversial card, because a lot of people read it as heartache or heartbreak. This is the Tarot of the Spirit, by the way. Hopefully we're gonna get to Three of Wind here. To me personally, how I read the three... there we go, Three of Wind. Wow, isn't it absolutely amazing? Absolutely amazing. It's like growth from this darkness into the fire. Amazing. And colors and... wow. Okay. So I read Three of Wind as things happen in your life that are not comfortable. It could be anything painful. And you're thinking about them. You're processing whatever happened or is happening with your mind. So you're processing that using your mind, because the suit of wind is about mind, is about ego, right? And when you go through it, you grow. So you take whatever's happened to you and you grow from it. Three is all about growth and development, and it's coming on the other side stronger and smarter. And smarter could be the right word, because we are in the realm of mind. More experienced, you know. Next time you're gonna know what to do and what not to do. Some people read it as grief, but I see Five of Cups more as grief. So yes, Three of Swords for me is all about that mental growth. So that's what I think about it. Also, it's important to me to see that creators come up with something interesting to portray the Three of Swords. But I talked about this before, so let's move on. How many tarot or oracle decks do you have in your collection library? I say in my tarot family. I have 38 tarot decks and I have 26 oracle decks at the moment. I am letting go of 4 oracle decks and I am letting go of 1 tarot deck that I have. I will gift them to my friends. And yeah, how amazing is this deck, by the way? And that takes me to the next question, which is, if you could become friends with one Tarotuber or one known person in the tarot world overnight, who would it be and why? And I chose Pamela Eakins, who is the creator of this deck. Her mom painted the deck, and she's the creator of this deck. And why I chose her is because this deck is so full of knowledge. I'm just going to show you the 2 books that come with it, so you see what I'm talking about. Pamela wrote this huge books explaining these cards and the Tree of Life. So yes, I would love to be her friend and talk about all this stuff every day. I would absolutely love that. And she's not only very knowledgeable, obviously, but she's also a very excited and passionate person. Like she has a YouTube channel, you should check it out, it's amazing. And she teaches about the cards with such enthusiasm, and she always connects each card to a story as well. She talks, you know, about how certain cards came to be and stuff. So it's very interesting, very, very, very intriguing. So I feel I would learn so much from her. And she might get some fresh perspectives from me, right? Because friends are all about reciprocity. It's not just about taking. It's about giving as well. So yeah, she's a person that I would love to become friends with. If I had to choose one Tarotuber that I would become friends with, it would have to be Sadhana from Integrative Healing with Sadhana. I'm choosing this deck on purpose when I'm talking about her because she is a person who has so much knowledge about spirituality on all levels, I'm gonna say. She is a yogi, she is a healer, she connects tarot to chakra systems, which to me feels like home because I love the chakra system myself. I actually did a Reiki healing course as well a few years back, so that feels very close to me as well. And she just, the way she speaks and explains things is so good. Like I feel like her vocabulary is so amazing. The way she portrays every card and meaning of every card. And yeah, I just love listening to her. I feel like I learn something new every time I watch her videos. And yeah, I would love to be her friend. I feel she would be a great mentor to have. A great, great mentor or a teacher. If I had to choose a Hierophant, it would be her, you know. So yeah, that is the question, who I would like to become friends with, if I could. The next question is... Actually, this is my last question, and it is, what's your favorite part of the day to do tarot? And that is, to me, the morning and the evening. In the morning, I set the intention, I ask the universe or God, whatever you want to call it, about the energies of the day. Sometimes I need specific advice for the day. And then in the evening, I like to turn to tarot for reflection about the day and to check, you know, what the card said in the morning and how it all played out through the day, which is always interesting. I feel reflecting is very important when you do tarot because you learn so much like that. So yes. Sorry, this is the lovely Om Tarot. I'm not sure if I said that. Before I finish, I would just like to say one more thing here. And that is that I was unfair to one of the decks when I was talking about the decks in one of my videos. I forgot which video it was. But I was talking about this deck. So this is the Czech version of the Shadowscapes Tarot. And I said that I wish I didn't get it. Now I changed my mind because I'm happy I got it. And the reason is I started riffle shuffling a few days ago. And this deck is just absolutely amazing to riffle shuffle. It's a pleasure. Watch this. How amazing is that? So it's wonderful to riffle shuffle. And the colors, I worked with it and I worked with my English ones, and I have to admit that the colors are brighter and more saturated, so things stand out a bit more than with an English version. The card stock is glossy, unfortunately, but at the same time, maybe that's why it riffle shuffles like it does. I don't know. I'm not a specialist on the card stock. But yeah, I have to give credit when credit is due, and you can see things a bit better on this one, I have to say. So I was wrong. I just wanted to admit I was wrong, and I'm sorry. And this is still a great deck to get, and I'm happy I got it. And I think because I was working with my English smaller version, and let me just put it next to it so you guys can see. So you can see the difference, right? It is bigger. And the cards are a bit shinier, but not that much shinier. They are shinier, but it doesn't really bother me. And the colors are saturated, so you can see better. You can decide for yourself, of course. What do you think? Which version do you prefer? She said as she pulled out the tower. So yeah, with that, I'm gonna leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would really like if you do a VR to this video, or maybe you can just answer a few questions in the comments below if you want to. So yes, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, evening, night, morning, whatever the time is where you are right now. And I hope I see you again soon. Bye bye.